Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Friday, the 19th day of April. Today is National Hanging Out Day. Hey, we should hang out.
We should hang out.
You and me, we should hang out
That'd
more
be great.
often. We're actually together 24 hours a day, so I don't know how we can hang out more. National Oklahoma City Bombing Commemoration Day. Such a sad thing that happened. National Garlic Day. National Amaretto Day. And National North Dakota Day. So all of those things to celebrate on this Friday. Also, I've got a guest coming up later in the program. I'm excited to visit with Steve Cleary. He's the creator of a new film called The Pligrim's Progress. There's some people listening right now that probably saw it last night. It was in theaters last night. It's also going to be in theaters tomorrow. So we wiggle a little interview right between the 2 days. The Pligrim's Progress. It's the best-selling fiction book in history. So it's a book that's been around for 340 years. And
Wow.
they're making this really cool movie that came out last night. And like I said, it'll be in theaters again tomorrow. Going to chat with him all about that coming up in a bit.
The inventor of Rip-It gloves has been a drywall guy for decades. He was trying to find gloves that worked for him and his crew, but nothing was quite right. So he went out and created some. Rip-It gloves fit firm in your hand and protect your hands, but still allow you to use a touchscreen. Professional athletes love the extra grip Rip-It gloves gives them. Painters, roofers, contractors, but also motorcycle and horseback riders. See why everyone loves Rip-It gloves at ripitgloves.com. Use promo code radio to save 25%. That's RIPIT gloves.com, promo code radio.
Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.net. With Easter hopping right around the corner, Top Cashback is sharing some results of an exciting spring holiday survey. See what I did there?
I see what you did there. That was
They
amazing.
found that 2 out of 5 people, 40% of Americans, have a favorite Easter basket item. And I'm going to ask Heidi what hers is and see if she is like most of the people that answered. What do you think that would be?
I would
Favorite
say
Easter basket item?
Reese's peanut butter eggs.
Sorry, classic chocolate bunny was the number one answer.
Oh.
And how do you eat your classic chocolate bunny?
Ears first.
At 68% tend to chomp on the ears first. So that means others apparently start somewhere else. What do they start with the feet? What's wrong with you people? I'm just kidding. You can do it however you want to do it. That's today's surveys and studies and such. Credit cards. They can be trouble. About 12 years ago, we did a debt snowball program and got rid of our credit cards. We were debt-free except for our house. It was awesome. But over the course of the next decade, our credit score went down. That sounds weird, but they need open accounts to give you a score. Our lower score made our insurance rates go up. We decided to get a credit card to help with that. We just pay it off every month. If you want a better credit card, check out BetterCreditCards.net. They'll help you compare all the different cards to get the best one for you. That's BetterCreditCards.net. And this is Your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by TimeForRehab.com. Authorities in Massachusetts say an intoxicated man was pulled from the cold waters of a harbor there when he fell in while he was washing his clothes. 2 a.m. is when a man was stumbling around the docks in the harbor, trying to do laundry in the water, apparently. Police arrived and spotted a pile of laundry and a man submerged in the harbor up to his neck, clinging onto a floating pier. They spent several minutes trying to get him out of there. 57-year-old Hyannis man by the name of... Does his name? It doesn't say in here. He was conscious, he was breathing, but very heavily intoxicated. He said he was trying to wash his clothes and he tumbled off the dock into the water. He was taken to a hospital for treatment. So,
well, at least he was
there you
okay.
go. Yeah,
and hopefully he gets the help he needs. 'cause
absolutely.
Clearly there's an issue.
Boy, that could have ended very poorly.
Yeah.
So it didn't end well, but it could have been way worse. That's what happens when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Now, big screen, little screen. We're going to talk a little more about the movie that's going to be coming out again tomorrow. And I've got the creator of this movie on the program. It's called The Pligrim's Progress. It's coming to theaters. It was on the big screen last night. It'll be back on the big screen tomorrow. It's just a 2-day event in theaters. And then this movie will be coming out in other forms as well. So if you miss it tomorrow, it'll be out again. But Steve Cleary, he'll be our guest later in the program. They took this book, The Pligrim's Progress, that was written 340 years ago. It is the best-selling fiction book in history. It has never been out of print. It's been translated into hundreds of different languages. And the book is now created into a CGI, like an animated, computer-generated image movie. And it's going to be in theaters for a special event tomorrow. We're going to be chatting with the creator, Steve Cleary, later in the program. That's Big Screen, Little Screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com.
Join us for a fun week in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic for the 3rd annual 80s in the Sand. We've been there the last 2 years, in addition to making a bunch of awesome new friends. We had so much fun meeting 80s actors and musicians. 80s in the Sand takes over the entire resort, so you'll mingle with them at the pools and the restaurants too. We'd love to have you join us. See the amazing lineup featuring Sammy Hagar and many more at radiotravelgroup.com. Save $200 per person for first-time guests at radiotravelgroup.com.
Now, your scoop of the day brought to you by BetterCreditCards.net. Easter is widely celebrated across the world. 80% in the United States plan on celebrating Easter this year. 56% aim to spend between $1 and $50 on Easter gifts. What would you spend $1 on if you were going to do it? I mean, I can see where you go, I'm not going to spend anything. But if you're going, I got a budget, it's $1.
Go to Dollar Tree.
There you go. Actually, Heidi could do well with $1. So the things that people are looking at gifts for, I've got several Easter-related things. That's the whole segment today is about this. I warned you yesterday. It's all right. So they include the egg hunt. It says here they polled a cross-section of 2,625 adults between the age of 18 and up. I guess that's not between the ages. That is from age 18 and up. I added that part. And they exposed all these traditions, Heidi, and their habits for the spring holiday. And it's a bunch of facts we're going to hop to right now.
Okay, let's do it.
You done with my puns yet?
I am through with the puns.
Favorite Easter tradition? What would you say is your favorite Easter tradition? I'll ask you each of these before I tell you what everybody else said.
What everybody else said?
What is your favorite Easter tradition?
Easter dinner.
Okay. Well, 34% said spending time with family. So thank you as part of the family for keeping us in mind.
Okay, but Easter dinner is with the family. That's what I meant. I mean, everybody comes together and you all feast together.
This is what it sounds like to backpedal, ladies and gentlemen. Spending time with family, 34%. Number 2 on the list is the Easter egg hunt, 20%. Religious aspects, 18%. Dyeing Easter eggs, 10%. And the food, the food, 8%. So, Heidi, 8%. Favorite Easter basket item. What do you think yours is? I think you already said this earlier in the program, but...
Well, mine is the Peeps.
Peeps?
Yeah, I like
okay,
Peeps.
Yeah, I'm not a peep guy. Candy is the number 1 answer. 40% say candy. Activity items like crayons, movie passes, books, 20% say that is. Plastic eggs with prizes, 17%. Money, 14%. And toys, 7%. So all of those are the favorite Easter basket items. Consumers plan on buying everything from food to clothing to celebrate this spring holiday. 58% plan on purchasing their Easter essentials at a place called Walmart. 39% plan on going to a place called Target, and 35% plan on going to their local grocery store. In addition to those popular places, 42% plan on purchasing new outfits for Easter as well.
Oh, I always loved the Easter. I got a new Easter
Did you get
dress
one?
every year. I loved it.
I don't think I ever got one.
Yeah,
An
always
Easter
did.
dress. I don't remember that. Or any Easter clothing.
I can't believe nobody said Dollar Tree for their Easter basket supplies.
Apparently not. No,
That is
well, it wasn't in the
insane.
top list anyway. Planned Easter purchases. 78% are going to get candy. 74% say food, probably for the meal and stuff. 48% say gifts. 33% say decor. Flowers, 28%. And cards, 24%. The top 3 ways Americans celebrate Easter without breaking the bank. Shopping sales and deals, 71% said that. Using coupons, 54% said that. And then cash back sites, 37% said that. So it says they also found 59% of respondents put money in their Easter eggs. Did you ever do that as a kid?
No.
You never got money in your Easter egg? I don't think I've ever done that either.
It was usually candy.
Yeah. 29% put coins and 30% put dollar bills.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah. I'm going to go Easter egg hunting with you guys.
Absolutely.
And then here are some ways to save, and I've got all of the details. I'm going to read the headlines. So you can make your own basket and reuse them every year. That's one way to save. Purchase goodies at discount rates. That's another way to save. Best dressed, what's that? Outfits for Easter. That's another way to save. I don't know what that means. And then home-cooked meals instead of going out is another way to save. So I've got a link to all of this in the show notes, and a big thank you to the group that sent that to me. I've got that, and I was like, boy, I don't want to not use it. Where am I going to use it? So that's why we did this in in lieu of our
Alrighty.
scoop of the day today.
There you go.
There you go. You got your little Easter scoop. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
Do you have a credit card? Is it the very best credit card? Many people get their credit card as a response to an offer that was mailed to you. These are typically not the best cards. Check the fine print for the fees and interest. We have a website that compares many different cards being offered so you can find the one that's the best fit for you. If you'd like to find a better credit card, we'd love to help at bettercreditcards.net. There's no obligation. Just click and compare to see if we can get you a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Our guest today is Steve Cleary. He's part of a movie that is a story that's been around for a long, long time, Pilgrim's Progress. Steve, how are you, sir?
Good. Thank you for having me, John.
Well, this movie is something that's really exciting. I know there were some folks that went to it last night, and then there's another chance to see it in theaters tomorrow, and then it'll be coming out in a bunch of different forms here soon. But tomorrow would be kind of a fun thing to go see it on a big screen, wouldn't it?
It would. We have a Saturday matinee. It's at 12:55 p.m. We're excited about that because it gives an opportunity for people to bring their kids and their grandkids, and just makes for a fun Saturday afternoon, especially in the middle of Holy Week. Lots of family activities, but we hope people get a chance to also go see The Pilgrim's Progress.
Now, The Pilgrim's Progress is a story that a lot of people have probably heard of, but if they haven't, let's make sure we talk about that. It's the best-selling fiction book in history. It's never been out of print. It's been around for about 340 years, but this is the first time to have a full-length theatrical release, and it's an animated, like a CGI animation, but it's the first time it's been on the big screen like this, isn't it?
It is. We were shocked that no studio had made a movie of this story. Because like you said, even when I hear you talk about best-selling Christian book in history, never been out of print, 200 languages, you're like, wow. And when I talk to people that have never heard of the story, they're like, I can't believe I've never heard of that. So we like to be a small part, keeping the story alive. It's 340 years old, and it's just so timely for today because it really reveals the Christian walk, the journey that we walk as Christians, or the journey we should be walking from this world to our own eternity. Now,
in addition to being a part of this movie in multiple different ways, you're a voice for some of the characters, correct?
No, I'm not. We do have three celebrities, including Ben Price, Kristen Getty, and John Rice Davies, who played Gimli in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
So we're real excited to have a great cast. We used all non-American voices, so it was really fun to get an international flair. The book was written in England, and so we kind of captured that British English a little bit, and it helps us with international distribution.
That's awesome. I see where I just made my mistake. In the info, it says you volunteer with Voice of the Martyrs. I was thinking you were a voice in the movie of the Martyrs. So that's my bad.
Yes, Voice of the Martyrs is a Christian ministry that's been working with Christians that are persecuted, so it's mostly communist, Muslim, terrorist nations, and I've spent 30 years with them. I continue to work with them, and it really helped, I think, prepare me to do this film because, as you know, John Bunyan was a persecuted Christian, and he wrote the story while imprisoned, while being persecuted. And I think it's a message that also resonates very well with persecuted Christians today. It shows you that the Christian walk is not always easy. It can include hardships, and those hardships can include persecution.
Now, the film is CGI animation, but it's not just for kids, is it?
No, we really wanted to make a family film, and a lot of people think because it's animated, they automatically think maybe I'll bring young children to it. We recommend ages 8+. So while it is a family movie, we are rated PG. We do recommend parents do some guidance. We've had children, 5, 6, 7 years old, come. Some have been a little scared, and some have enjoyed it, but there are demons in the movie, and there are a few parts where younger children may get scared. So we just ask parents to, use their own discernment in what age they should bring their children. And our official recommendation is 8+.
Again, the movie is called The Pilgrim's Progress. I've got a link to the website. The website is pilgrims.movie, but I've got a link to it in our show notes to make it really easy. It was in theaters last night. It'll be in theaters again tomorrow. The showing tomorrow is a matinee, is that correct?
Yes, it's 12:55 p.m. local time. We're in about 700 theaters tomorrow around the country. The website you mentioned, pilgrims.movie. You will see if there's a theater in your area. Hopefully there is, and a lot of theaters have sold out. So hopefully there's still opportunities to get some tickets, to bring your family. And it's a great opportunity to bring, maybe your neighbor who doesn't know the Lord, and you don't want to be overly preachy, but here's a great message, an allegory, a fantasy, an animation that really reveals salvation and reveals our walk and our potential to walk to eternity. So I do think it's an amazing witnessing tool as well.
That's really cool. Well, thank you so much for all that you're doing, Steve. I appreciate that a bunch.
Thanks, John. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share a few minutes with me and hope to see your listeners at the theater.
Again, Steve Cleary. The movie is called The Pilgrim's Progress. The website, pilgrims.movie. I'll throw a link to that in the show notes. But what a cool idea for this Easter weekend. It's in theaters again tomorrow at 12:55. Again, all the details on all of that in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
The inventor of Rip It gloves has been a drywall guy for decades. He was trying to find gloves that worked for him and his crew, but nothing was quite right. So he went out and created some. Rip It gloves fit firm in your hand and protect your hands, but still allow you to use a touchscreen. Professional athletes love the extra grip Rip It gloves gives them. Painters, roofers, contractors, but also motorcycle and horseback riders. See why everyone loves Rip It gloves at ripitgloves.com. Use promo code radio to save 25%. That's RIPIT gloves.com, promo code radio.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
A dentist invented the electric chair. So,
Really?
Yeah, the electric chair, like to electrocute people, was invented by a dentist. Speaking of
That does
dentists,
not surprise me.
this weekend is probably a big weekend for dentists. So, kids, eat all of your candy. I'm just being silly. No, make sure you brush. That's what I meant to say. Because if you get all that candy and if you don't brush, that could be bad. And then you have to go to the electric chair. No, the dental chair. That's the one. Thanks for listening to this fun fact on the John and Heidi Show. Credit cards, they can be trouble. About 12 years ago, we did a debt snowball program and got rid of our credit cards. We were debt-free except for our house. It was awesome. But over the course of the next decade, our credit score went down. That sounds weird, but they need open accounts to give you a score. Our lower score made our insurance rates go up. We decided to get a credit card to help with that. We just pay it off every month. If you want a better credit card, check out bettercreditcards.net. They'll help you compare all the different cards to get the best one for you. That's bettercreditcards.net. Now, fear this. It's time for fun with phobias. Carnophobia. 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 What do you think that would be?
Fear of meat eaters.
It's fear of meat, period.
Ah.
So if you're afraid of that Easter ham, you might have carnophobia. Today's fun with phobias.
Join us for a fun week in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic for the 3rd annual 80s in the Sand. We've been there the last 2 years. In addition to making a bunch of awesome new friends, we had so much fun meeting 80s actors and musicians. 80s in the Sand takes over the entire resort, so you'll mingle with them at the pools and the restaurants too. We'd love to have you join us. See the amazing lineup featuring Sammy Hagar and many more at radiotravelgroup.com. Save $200 per person for first-time guests at radiotravelgroup.com.
Now some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. This is such a bizarre story. Residents of a little neighborhood in Jackson, Mississippi are quite confused by these bowls of mashed potatoes that are just popping up. Some found them in their car. Some found them just sitting on their porch. Another in the mailbox. And nobody knows, at least at the time of this story, where this is coming from. Here's the thing that's interesting. I wonder if it started with one person that just maybe forgot their mashed potatoes sitting somewhere, and then it got posted on Facebook, and other people were laughing. Because my wife and I, as soon as we heard
I think this is hilarious.
she said, we need to do this.
I mean, they're not hurting anybody. It's just a weird and confusing, and I think it's fantastic.
It's almost like Mayday. Leave a Mayday basket. It's mashed potato day, apparently. And
I just love this.
It's just really funny. And, here is the nice thing. If you're going to do some silly prank, this is the kind of prank to do.
Right.
I'm not encouraging mashed potatoes. I'm not encouraging people to do that. But I am saying, if you're going to,
this isn't going to hurt
it's
anybody.
not going to hurt
and
anybody.
It's just
it's not damaging. So as long as you're not like covering their car in mashed potatoes
I think
where they'd be damaged.
I think it's absolutely fantastic.
It is really interesting. I've got a link to the story if you want to read all about it. It's in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com. Now your moment of duh, brought to you by FunkyMonkeyShirts.com. Heidi, some of these stories, I just don't understand what this dude's thinking. A guy in England rented a couple of mobility scooters worth about $2,000 each. Then he decided, I'm going to just keep them. Mm-hmm. Started by loading them into a van in front of the local police station. Officers noticed this guy had very odd behavior. They also noticed the rental company logo on the scooters. And they came out to see what was going on, and he was nabbed by police, as they put it on here. Cops nab mobility scooter thief. If you were going to do this, I'm not encouraging that, because, you know.
Why would that raise some red flags? I mean, if he rented them, wouldn't he have to
he was
transport them
acting-
to where he
yeah,
was going to take them?
But he was acting very odd, the way that he was doing this.
Okay.
You know, like when police were walking by, he was acting very suspicious. If he wouldn't have acted suspicious, he probably could have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those kids and that
And
dog.
their dog.
Oh, that was something different. This is just a bizarre story. I've got a link to it in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com.
Do you have a credit card? Is it the very best credit card? Many people get their credit card as a response to an offer that was mailed to you. These are typically not the best cards. Check the fine print for the fees and interest. We have a website that compares many different cards being offered so you can find the one that's the best fit for you. If you'd like to find a better credit card, we'd love to help at bettercreditcards.net. There's no obligation. Just click and compare to see if we can get you a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net.
Now, these three things, Heidi, tell me, what do these three things have in common? A boxer, a seafood restaurant, and a safe. I think this might be tough. A boxer, I wouldn't have connected this to a boxer. A seafood restaurant, I don't think I would have connected this.
Combination.
How in the world did you do that?
Well, because seafood restaurants would have combination platters.
Yeah.
A
safe has a combination.
has a combination. Isn't a boxer, isn't there a combination move?
Yeah,
that
it's
they
like a
have?
1-2 punch. Ba-dum-ba-doo. I never would have guessed that. Heidi, you got it. You won all the points today.
Wow.
Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the next 2 days off. No, I'm not.
No, you're not. You liar.
I'm just being silly. That's these three things.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It comes your way courtesy of radiotravelgroup.com. And for those of you who have had a chance to check that out, if you're planning on joining us, we look forward to seeing you. It's coming up here May 3rd and 4th, so just a couple weeks from now. Again, radiotravelgroup.com. This is a really nice story. Teens assist elderly man who fell, and they walked him home to help him clean his wounds. A group of teenage boys in Idaho stopped to care for an elderly man after they watched him fall down. And while he struggled with his walker, they helped him, and they got him back up, got everything going. Victor Ornelius, Isaac Hernandez, Diego Ramirez, and Devin Ornelius, and Josh Sorg. They were riding in a car to go play basketball, and they spotted this man fall down. Hernandez says, I saw that he fell, so I stepped on my brakes. We parked, and we all ran out. We picked him up. We asked him if he was okay. He said he was fine. So we just kept walking with him. We said we were going to walk with him all the way to his house. We helped him inside, and his knee was bleeding, so we grabbed napkins, put alcohol on it, and cleaned him up. The elderly man they helped said he was so grateful the boys were there for him.
Oh, how sweet is that?
So,
that gives you hope for the future.
It does.
For sure. Those are great kids, and their parents should be very proud.
And here's the cool thing. What these boys didn't know, while all of this was happening, there was a lady in the neighborhood that saw this happen. She saw him fall as well. She was going to go help, and she saw the boys helping, so she pulled out her phone and snapped some photos. And she posted this on social media, and it is unbelievable what a nice outpouring of support they've gotten.
That is fantastic. I absolutely love it.
I've got a link to that story. It's in our show notes at johnandheidishow.com. I love wrapping things up with good news.
Me too.
Just makes you feel really good. I
It
hope
does.
you all have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great Easter weekend. Thanks for listening.